We have learned how to solve quadratics using graphing, factoring, solving with square roots, and completing the square. So the last way we're going to learn in this chapter is solving using the quadratic formula. So another method for solving quadratic equations is using what's called the quadratic formula. The real solutions of the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c are x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This is what's called the quadratic formula. Now I want you to notice that the a value here is what goes in here. The b value, right, the coefficient, goes here and here. Notice that it's opposite sign. Oh, and there's another a in the denominator. And then the last one is c. Okay, so it's important to identify A, B, and C and to be able to plug it in correctly. So what we're first going to do is go ahead and practice plugging into the quadratic formula. So we're going to practice substituting into the quadratic formula for each function/equation equation. Write the quadratic formula and plug in A, B, and C. Make sure you set each function equal to 0 first. So really important that we do that. Okay, because it does change the values if it is not set equal to 0 first. So for the first one, we're going to set that equal to 0, or f of x equals x squared plus 6x plus 8. So we're just going to change the f of x to 0. So we're going to say 0 equals x squared plus 6x plus 8. Then we're going to identify our A, B, and C. Make sure that you are taking care to take the signs if you see negatives, for example. So we're only looking at the coefficients only. So A is in front of the x squared value. So remember that is a 1 in front. So A is positive 1. B is the number in front of just the x. So that is 6. And then 8, that is our c value. So let's write the quadratic formula first. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we're going to substitute. Let's practice substituting into the quadratic formula. So we have x equals, and we have negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times a is 1, and c is 8, all over 2 times a, and a is 1. Okay, so that is all plugged in correctly. Okay, so let's try it for the next one. 3x squared minus 5x equals 10. So we need to set it equal to 0 first. So 3x squared minus 5x equals 10. Let's subtract 10 from both sides, right? We want to set it equal to 0 first. So 3x squared minus 5x minus 10 equals 0. So now let's identify A, B, and C. So A in this case is 3, right? The coefficient is 3. And then B in this case is negative 5. And then C is negative 10. Okay, so let's plug it into the quadratic formula. So we have x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times 3, which is our a value, times c, which is negative 10, right? So if we didn't set it equal to 0 first, we would actually put in a positive 10, and that would be incorrect. So then we put it over 2 times 3. Okay, so again, we're just substituting into the quadratic formula. So we identify A, B, and C, and then remember that the formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So you take 3, you substitute it with the a's, b's where the b's go, and then c's where the c's go. Okay? So let's go ahead and you try these two, okay? Pause the video, and when you come back, I'll have the answers for you. Okay, so we tried this out. So for the first one, you just change f of x to 0. You identify a as 8, b as -7, and c as -3. Then you plug it into the quadratic formula. So you should have gotten a -7 plus or minus the square root of -7 squared minus 4 times 8 times -3 all over 2 times 8. The next one would have been, you have to subtract 4 from both sides. And so you get 5x squared minus 2x minus 4 equals 0. So a is 5, b is -2, and c is -4. So if you plug that in, you get x equals -2 plus or minus the square root of -2 squared minus 4 times 5 times -4 over 2 times 5. So now what we need to do next is, now that we've practiced plugging it in, now we're actually going to solve. So let's solve this equation. So we're going to set the equation equal to 0 first. So in this case, we need to add 3 to both sides. So therefore, we get 2x squared minus 5x plus 3 equals 0. Now we need to identify the coefficients, a, b, and c, just like we did earlier. So a is 2, b is -5, and c is +3. Then we're going to plug it into the quadratic formula. Remember, x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Okay, just as a reminder, our a values, okay, will go here and here. B will go here, and then our c value will go here. Okay, so trying to color code it to help us out. So when we substitute, we have x equals -5 plus or minus the square root of -5 squared minus 4 times 2 times +3 all over 2 times a, which is 2. Okay? So let's start to simplify this now. So we have -5, so that changes to a +5. So x equals +5 plus or minus, and we need to deal with what's in the square root first. So -5 squared, so it's -5 times -5, that equals a +25. Then we need to multiply 4 times 2 times 3 right here. So 4 times 2, that's 8, right? -8 times 3. So -8 times 3, that is -24. All over 2 times 2, which is 4. So let's continue simplifying. We get 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 24 is a +1 over 4. And then square root of 1, that's just 1. 5 plus or minus 1 over 4. Now we can simplify that even further because those are just constants. So what this means is we have a 5 plus 1 over 4, and we also have a 5 minus 1 over 4. Okay, so remember the plus or minus means you have two different equations here. So 5 plus 1, that's 6 over 4, and that reduces to, 2 goes and divided by 2, so that is 3 over 2, and 5 minus 1 is 4 over 4, so therefore it's 1. So our solutions are x equals 3/2 and x equals +1. Okay? So I want you to try out this next one down below. Try these two. Again, make sure it's set equal to 0, and then substitute into the quadratic formula, and then simplify, okay, as far as you can. When you come back, I'll have the answers for you. Okay, so if you tried this out, on the first one, you would plug it in, -6 plus or minus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5 over 2 times 1. Then you would simplify the inside, which would be 36 minus 20, right? 6 squared is 36 minus 4 times 5, which is -20. That is square root of 16. And remember that the square root of 16 is perfect. That's just 4. So you get -6 plus 4 over 2, and then you get -6 minus 4 over 2. So you simplify both of those, so you would get -1 and -5. Then the next one, this is how you would plug it in, right? So you get 1 squared minus 4 times 4 minus 3. You simplify that. So I did 4 times 3 is 12, times 4 is 48. And then 48 plus 1 is 49, and the square root of 49 is perfect, it's 7. So you have a -1 plus 7 over 8, and you have a -1 minus 7 over 8. Then you simplify, and it would get down to x equals 3/4 and x equals -1. I hope this helps you get more practice in class tomorrow.